The Hollywood Actor Podcast with Aleksandar Filimonovic, Part 2.
I loved LA. I got into, I was right up away on Actors Access and LA Casting, just submitting myself. I sent like 1,000, well, not 1,000, I did spend $1,000, but I sent about 250, 300 headshots and like with my school theater and like off-Broadway theater resumes.
While
and
the
back
agents
and
on
like
call
some
sheet?
students. Absolutely. That was Henderson's mailing list. I still remember.
Oh, back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. And that was 2009, like January 2009.
Not that long ago.
Yeah. So anyway, I sent everything out there, and I got like from 250, 300 mailings, I got like 12 replies. 2 were from ICM, and I was like, oh my God, it's
No
American.
way.
And they were both templates. However, I mean, I knew what they were like. Hey, thank you for reaching out.
Yeah.
We're glad you're considering us. Why don't you work on your career just a little bit? Get something under your belt, and then maybe we can. And both were from different ages, but both were the same template. So I understood that it was a company policy at the time, but still it felt nice. It felt, okay, at least some poor assistant over there that had to reply to me, knows I exist, But like I said, the OPT, I think it's optional practical permit something thingy. That's only 1 year, and you gotta book some jobs. You gotta show serious perspective as a foreigner to get the O1, which is Extraordinary Ability Talent visa, meaning that okay, we're the United States government. We want to take care of American citizens. Why should we give someone's job to this guy? So you got to show some sort of talent that's missing in Hollywood, and that's really hard to, because you don't just come here and show up. Hey, I'm in LA. Okay, let me go to this audition and this, and okay, I book one of those. First audition might come in a month or 2 months, or you don't know, and then once it happens,
Meanwhile, the clock's ticking.
Exactly. So I did a couple of things. I did a voiceover for EA Games for Born Identity 2, and that was big because being a computer scientist, my first degree and playing video games, I was like, yes, I get to work for Electronic Arts. However, they paid me, and it was great. Like my first professional, nice paycheck. But then they canceled. That was the second part of the video game, so Born Identity 2. But they didn't even release the first part. They canceled everything because I think they got into an issue with a franchise. However, my experience was I did go there. I did work with them. I have a paycheck. I have photos to prove. And exactly, and it was experience. I did some short movies, which were out in some festivals. I met some people who are working now, and. Also, in the meantime, some of my classmates from Strasberg already started making it, like becoming pretty successful. Yeah. However, my choice, everybody was like, man, you got to call them. We were friends. We were hanging out. I chose not to call them just because my view was that, they're making it and probably getting tons of calls. And if I call them, I'm fully honest. I try to be honest always in life, especially with friends. I'm how do you say, when you're honest, like, even if it hurts them when you say something.
Maybe a little blunt.
Bluntly, exactly. So if we get to hang out and they're like, hey man, great to see you, what's up? And I'm going to say, like, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, trying to act. And that would be the blunt honesty, and then would sort of automatically put some weight on their shoulders. And I didn't want to do that to our friendship. Obviously, I could have chosen the other. I could say, you know what? Let me try. Let me risk the friendship. I didn't want to. I wanted to find a way for myself. That's something about the American dream, where people say, you gotta at least open the door by yourself, because that's what Americans respect. And when we look at all the stars that we admire, every single one has some story that they fought through, like insurmountable odds. Some guy was a bartender, a girl was a waitress. Somebody didn't have acting school, and he was like, discarded by people who did. But then they fought and find a way. So
we love the underdog.
Absolutely, the underdog, and I decided to do what I felt was right, and sort of let them enjoy and grow, and hopefully I will rise on my own and we will meet somewhere, which is happening now. I'm
Oh,
meeting a
great.
lot of friends. Last night I met
Yeah.
Daniela Rua, who is the lead at NCIS LA, and we were in the same class and we were hanging out, and she's one of the people, and I told her, she's like, Alex, you came and hugged me, what are you doing here, you're in LA? I was like, yeah, I came a couple of years ago. She's like, you came a couple of years ago? I was like, yeah. And I said, I didn't feel like bugging anybody. So she got that sweet smile, and she was
Wow.
like, "So
Yeah.
what's up? So how's it going?" And I said, "I just did my first big movie with Eddie Murphy. I have a nice role." And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy." So that's what I was waiting for. And there's other people. Josh Bowman, he contacted me recently. He had a lead role in a Revenge series. That's what people here might know him from, and a couple of movies. But we were taking our stage combat exams together, and we were going out.
Mm.
And he was also surprised that I was here and I didn't call him. And then when he found out, he invited me. He directed his first movie. He invited me just to come, and it was a short movie, just to sort of run through it, to be there with him. And so I'm now getting back in touch with the people that I used to hang out with, but sort of without putting pressure on them, because I actually opened the doors to Hollywood.
Well, that makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, like you're right. You don't want to put too much pressure and stress on a relationship and then risk hurting that relationship. But you do want to
Absolutely.
still be part of that community, especially people that you did go to a conservatory experience with or who you're genuinely friends with. LA's a lonely town, right?
It is. Oh yeah, absolutely. And if we were the best of friends, but we all came from our own countries already having friends before, and we became
Okay.
friends for that short period over there. If we were the best friends for all, obviously I'd ask. I'd be like, "Hey, bro, when are you gonna put me in your movie or something?" But like for those budding friendships,
Yeah.
you got to take care of that. And for me, growing up so another thing, I'm again going back to Yugoslavia. In Yugoslavia, like, I'm Orthodox Christian, and there were Orthodox Catholics, Muslims, Jewish people. Everybody was there. As kids, we didn't know what was the difference. For me, that was even though it was a socialist country, for me that was the closest thing to democracy, to real democracy. That as kids, we just oh, this guy goes to church that has that moon, this guy goes to church that has a cross, this guy has a star. Those were the difference that we had, and I loved that. So coming back to like that, sort of, we had a brotherhood and unity. That was the motto of sort of Yugoslavia, and that's how I grew up. Like, I'm a kid who respects friendship. That's why I love Hollywood, because like the movies that I was watching growing up, like 80s movies like E.T. and things like that, they were talking about friends, like Goonies, like they stick together,
Yeah.
they take care of each other. And that's what I love. So that also was the reason why I decided not to strain friendship, even though people might say, yeah, but Hollywood is so much more important. Maybe, but friendship is a part, like loving friendship and being loyal to my friends and people that I care about is a part of me. So if I betray that and I do anything in Hollywood, like, it's like I'm driving a car in Hollywood that doesn't have two wheels, so it's, you want to be yourself, whatever you do, because then you got full control. I don't know, you can do what you want with your dream. So anyway, things started happening. I was there in LA for 9 months. I decided then it was either get married for papers, which a lot of people have to do, unfortunately. I mean, they don't have to, but they choose to, and I can't judge them. It's hard, and I was like, I can't do that. I want to marry for love. I can't do that. And then an idea came. I should go back to Serbia, because now already I went to Strasberg. And Strasberg means something all over the world. I should go back to Serbia and maybe try and establish myself at a smaller market, get some work under my belt. So I moved there. People that I've known before heard I was back, and again, some knew me from Mika's acting group. I've done a couple of commercials while I was in Mika's group, and
Okay.
so they sort of pulled me in, and I got a shot. I got a shot to like 7 episodes in a popular TV show to play a cab driver called Adam. Who's in love with this girl who is crazy about her ex, but she likes me, but she wants to be with her ex. So it was sort of some cute little drama, and that was my first sort of professional TV show experience.
Right.
And after that, I booked a movie where I played that was actually Serbian choice for Academy Awards. It didn't go through, but it was a strong movie where I played a soccer player, which was great. I get to live out that people around Serbia would recognize me. Hey, here's that soccer player, not knowing that I actually played soccer before. So
Wow.
I started working a bit. I was doing some commercials. Pays over there, like paychecks are very bad. Like after the breakup of Yugoslavia, just like take 1-0 from the back of your paycheck away, and that's how everything went. And
there are no unions for film production, right?
No unions. And when countries break down, corruption creeps in, and like nepotism and everything. So it's like really hard. Like my dad, in the meantime, made good businesses. We grew up we were very humble, I had a roof on my head. I didn't have to worry about food, but like I had a couple of toys and stuff, and we were very happy with what we had. So in the meantime, my dad built companies that are like in a couple of countries, like in England and in Russia and in Serbia, and we were doing better. Still, I had that old thing, where you work. You need to work to earn something. So my dad was never the type who would be like, even when I played soccer, who'd call like friends and say, hey, listen, my kid should play and things like that, or like pay for that. And those things happen a lot, even in America, but especially in the countries whose systems are broken. Now imagine, like I said, Yugoslavia or Serbia, when it was a part of Yugoslavia wasn't a third world country. So that okay, people are used to not having anything. No, like I said, Yugoslavian passport was most expensive on the black market, meaning we didn't need visa to go to the Eastern Bloc, to go to the Western Bloc. We had Coca-Cola, like McDonald's, whatever you wanted, we had it. Like rock and roll, Hollywood, we had access to everything. So, and people had great paychecks. So like our school, we had like a lot of students were coming from all over the world to study in Belgrade.
Wow.
Like John Kennedy was visiting Belgrade. A lot of Hollywood stars were there, Elizabeth Taylor, etc. So, and after that breaks up, those people weren't used to not having, like, poor North Koreans. They weren't used to not having. They were used to living large, and suddenly they don't have. So it's a lot of well-educated people with suddenly very low incomes, So it was hard, it was rough. And then you understand, you can't blame a coach if he's going to take a couple of €100, put it in his pocket, and let some kid play because he's got a family to feed. It's sad. It's like you don't know who to blame over there. It's like really, but that makes you grow a lot, and people are very capable. Like Novak Djokovic, who's like the best tennis player in the world, he was practicing in an empty swimming pool. But that, like I said, if that doesn't break you, it makes you a star. So
you figure it out.
So exactly. So after a couple of years there, working there, again, I started, running into certain obstacles. For example, I didn't have Instagram, or I had it with it was locked. I followed 200 people. They followed me, something like that. I was approached because I started appearing in like TV shows and movies. I was approached by like some paparazzi who also had nothing to do, and they just needed something to write. And they were like, "Hey, Alex, why don't we you have a beautiful girlfriend, or like when I was out of a relationship, like we saw you with a couple of nice girls. Why don't we take some photos? We say, oh, well, he's dating that." So they sort of wanted to do that. We call it in Serbia yellow papers. I don't know how you call it here. Like those, not really news.
We kind of had like yellow journalism back in the day.
Yeah, something like that. So they wanted to hype me up like that, and a lot of people were doing that. I mean that's most of the celebrities today, like especially on Instagram and stuff, are those kind of celebrities. And what I don't like is that is respected today. That shows where the world is right now, in my opinion. So we don't have to get into that. But like I said, I was offered to pursue that road. Again, something inside me told me, don't do it, even though I love attention. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I love to act only because I love acting. Yeah, I want to have a good life and be able to, buy whatever I want and help whomever I want, and travel and stuff. Yeah, I do want that. But that's not my primary goal. My primary goal is to build myself up so I can help. So I can help those that, are not given a shot. Imagine
that's the Virgo in you.
Well, maybe that's the Virgo in me. Who knows? But again, like I said, that's also somebody. I've traveled around the world. I've seen a lot of people who don't have a lot and who are so kind and so good and, offer to help without wanting anything in return, So I kind of, that touched me. And I think that, that's the point of life. That's the unity. We are all one.
Yeah.
It's like fingers. Fingers are not aware of each other, or of themselves, but they're all connected. And that's what people cannot understand with our minds, with our processors in our head. You can understand it if you turn off the mind and you feel it. We are all one. But to get there and to help that, I really need to climb a high mountain so I can reach the most people, whether with what I'm saying, like we're talking right now, or with what I've been through, or the work that I'm doing. And what mountain is bigger than Hollywood?
Yeah, getting larger platforms, louder megaphones.
Absolutely. So when I've done enough work in Serbia, and I didn't want to push forward into being a bigger star through those yellow papers or whatever, or nepotism, or getting into some corrupt work, because some actors were accepting roles by giving their paychecks back to the producers. I didn't want to do those things. I didn't want to blame them, and I didn't want my head to explode. So I decided, okay, now's the time for me to go back to LA. I've had enough work to get now that O1 artistic visa as a known artist from Serbia. And when I came to LA, all the money that I had saved up, and I had help from my family, because monthly wage in Serbia is like $300, and in LA without $4,000 or $5,000 a month, you really can't network. You can live with like $2,000-3,000, but you can't network without more than that. So I had some help, and I had a few months, that I didn't have to work. And as I came in, I was all over the place. I was everywhere, going out. Like I said, thankfully now for me that I didn't like smoke or drink or do drugs. So that would have been so much more extra expense. But but like I was treating other people like we go out, like, hey, who's gonna drink what? Like I have a Coke or something, advertisement for Coca-Cola. I have a Coke, but like people, they have drinks, and it's a sort of, I don't know, a Serbian thing like that. Like when you ask, you sort of pay. So people are like, you're surprised. Wow, this guy's cool. Like, he offers, he pays. I just got used later that, in LA, it's completely normal. Everybody takes out their card, they split the check and whatever. But I was spending a lot of money, just like going out around places and talking to people. And
probably made a lot of friends right quick for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And my dad was like pulling his hair. He was like, "What are you doing?" Because he like old school, hard work, make everything one step at a time, brick by brick.
Right.
And I was like, "Trust me, I'm not coming in stupid like a lot of people come to LA and they're like, okay, I'm just gonna flash around everywhere, and like I have talents. I can sing, I can dance. I have already
right.
a life
You've been
story.
honing with these different groups and conservatory experiences. Not to mention all the natural experiences that you had along the way.
Absolutely. And so I was aware that all of that promises nothing, but when are you going to risk? Like, when are you going to make the step? And I was like, okay, the time is now. So I was somewhere. All out and about. My dad was pulling his hair. I was spending all of the money that I brought. And within a month and a half of arriving here, not knowing anybody, I knew a couple of friends. And like I said, I again didn't call the super successful friends from school, but I did hang out with other people who were sort of at the same level, like trying to make it. And I didn't have anybody who's like big up to sort of pull me. So I was all about, but my energy I was very positive. The one guy, like I met at that casting workshop before those were closed, like a fellow attendee, not one of the casting directors. Yeah. He was like, "Hey man, listen, you're so full of energy. I can give you one email, you just don't know who you got it from. And there is a casting. They're looking for somebody who's like, you're a black belt, like 6'4", like, I mean, this could be for you. So I was like, all right, cool. So I send an email, like, say, this is da-da-da-da. And it was actually a Ben Stiller production. And a movie called Why Him with James Franco and Bryan Cranston. And the day after, they respond to me, hey, Alex, thanks for reaching out. We're not casting that role for the next 3 weeks, but do reach out then. And I was like, okay, wow, they were nice to text me back, but like, they're not going to call me in 3 weeks. 3 weeks later, I get a call. Hey, Alex, we're casting that role. Would you like to come in for audition? We'd like to see you tomorrow. Oh, I was like, oh my God, this is like my big Hollywood movie audition. Like, and I just got here. So I go there and I'm like, oh, so excited, and I walk in and there's like 20 guys dressed like me. They look like me. They look like me so much that I wasn't sure which one of those am I. The way I was like, okay, but still, that didn't take a smile off
crisis, right?
Absolutely, and that didn't take a smile off my face because I was like, man, it's an audition for a Hollywood movie. It's starting to happen. So I went in, and I was so energetic that they loved me. And they were laughing. They were like, okay, now try it this way. And they were laughing again. Okay, thank you very much. I left, bye-bye. Nothing. A week goes by. My phone rings. It was noon. I was in the room, in my bedroom. And what's an actor doing at noon? Sleeping, And my phone rings, and it was the casting lady, and she's like, hey, Alex, we're just calling to let you know we're canceling the callbacks. And I was like, oh, wow, thanks so much for letting me know. They usually don't, like in my country, they don't call. They're like, no, we're canceling because the production wants you.
Hey.
And I was like, what? She's like, you got the role. And I was like, what? And then I took a pillow and I started screaming in the pillow, like, okay, hold your microphone or something. I was like, woo! So I was like screaming that the landlady who rented this place out to me like a month and a half before, she came out and she was like, Alex, is everything okay? I was like, yes. But in the meantime, the casting lady is laughing her butt off over the phone, but like happy laughter, they love sharing joy when they give somebody the role. And the landlady was like, is everything okay? Yeah. Did you get a role? I was like, yes. She was like,
wow.
Already? I was like, yes. So anyway, the casting lady then tells me I got like three working days. I got a bunch of lines, a bunch of scenes. Great. They call me 2 days later. She's like, okay, could you send now your passport picture and like the visa photo so that, we can do the contract. I do send everything. She calls me another day later, says, Alex, can you please send all the documentation that your lawyer sent when he applied for your visa? So I'm like, already like, what? I mean, I have my social security, I have my visa, I have my passport. I was like, well, I don't want to wake up from this. Is everything okay? Yeah. She's like, yeah, don't worry, it's fine. So I sent 200 pages that my lawyer had to send for me to get that visa. That was like my interviews, my work contracts, everything that made me like a known actor in Serbia, like all those proofs. Another couple of days go by. I'm like already like stressing out, and she calls me. Oh my God, it was such a sad conversation. She calls me. I mean, obviously I felt horrible for myself, but I also felt sad for her that she had to call me about that. She was like, Alex, I'm sorry, they can't work with your visa. I was like, what do you mean they can't work with my visa? It's an O1 visa. It's an artistic visa for acting. Like, yeah, but it's not a manager sponsored O1 visa. You were sponsored by a theater production company in New York that you have like booked jobs in like 3-4 months. I was like, yes, but that's in 3-4 months, and I have a non-exclusivity letter for them. And she's like, I know, I tried everything, but they don't want to risk it. So here's the thing. You can understand a big studio and some theater production company sponsoring an employee. Big studio is not really looking to jump into taking that employee, even with a non-exclusivity letter, because you don't know who those small guys are. Maybe he calls them a week before the premiere and says, hey, I don't remember signing that non-exclusivity. How about you send something green my way? I mean, I understand how they would think from business perspective. They don't mess around. And Hollywood is full of actors. They can always find another one and replace. So that I had a role, and they had to revoke the role from me. And that was horribly heartbreaking. But I did get another letter of recommendation from them, from the production, saying, hey, Aleks is super talented. We wanted him for a movie. We gave him 3 days first. Then we extended him to over a week of shooting days. We are on a loss. He's on a loss. Please fix this. And we strongly support that he gets a green card. So I strengthened all of the proofs that I had from Serbia. I brought in more proofs. I brought in this letter of recommendation, and immediately I sent it to my lawyer and applied for a green card. So I got that approved, and the green card arrived after the movie. So I had to miss that movie. But in the meantime, the green card opened a lot of other doors for me, because some big studios don't even mess, because of problems like I had, they don't mess with O1 visas. So they ask you, if you're a citizen or a green card holder, you're good. If not, we don't want to see you. So in the meantime, I ran out of money. So I was happy to have been offered a nice role in a TV show back home. I went there, again, refilled my batteries, stayed home 3 months, did a TV series called My Father's Killers, and I had a green card in the pocket. As soon as I got back, there was an audition for the Americans, and again, they wanted somebody 6'4", somebody who can speak Serbian, and it was like I've rejected 4 roles. That's something else that I might say I've rejected, which is, not an easy thing. 4 roles where like Serbs are the bad guys. Because we aren't the bad guys, but politics wants people to believe that, because then they can approve of the things they want to do from some country or against some country, or when they want to get something. So I'm not getting into that, but like I said, rejecting some roles in Hollywood, like the first time I did it, out of those 4 times, I cried. I cried because I was thinking, oh my God, like it came to this, they want me to like spit on my country or where I'm from. I can't do that. And like, they're never going to call me again. They're going to think, I'm not saying that they know the truth, but for them, it's business. Like what this kid is picky. He's new and he's picky. So I was sure, that they're going to block me out. But thankfully, people are aware that, they really shouldn't trust the news and media and anybody anymore until they see it for themselves. So they were like, you know what? We met him. He's a nice kid. He seems to have manners, to be polite, Let's just call him in for something else. So they didn't close the doors on me. And I got a chance to play a Yugoslav soldier from the 1984 or something in the Americans, which was completely not biased towards any side, and Yugoslavia was just actually a temporary place where the story was taking place. So it didn't say anything about my country, but there was a chance for me to get a role and to get into SAG, which seemed unbelievable. Like, the catch-22, you need to do SAG projects to get into SAG, but you can't do SAG projects unless you're SAG. So they were like, okay, well, he is a better choice than what we have here. We have some talent, but he is a little more suited for this role, and he can speak Serbian, and he's a martial artist, and he's 6'4", and whatever, and he looks like a soldier or whatever. So they kind of Taft-Harley'd me for the Americans, gave me a co-star, which was then upgraded to a guest star, because I also did some added voiceover work for different characters in that show.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, there's a funny scene where like I'm that soldier who's like listening to a radio commentator commentating on a soccer match, and I was also the radio commentator. So I was listening and yelling back. I was listening and yelling back at myself. So I mean, which I changed the voice a little bit, but
and there's that soccer reference again too.
Exactly, and another soccer reference. Funny. And honestly, when they made the set look like Yugoslavia with Yugoslavian flags, I was like so nostalgic. I was like, oh my God. So that was beautiful. Oh, and that's another thing. Following me leaving school and the breakup that I had, I told myself, I'm not going back to New York until, as another Serbian expression says, I go back on a horse, meaning like I come in riding like a victor, like the winner. And
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm coming back to do like the big show. So that was my first time back in New York, and I walked all over, and I went to see my teachers, and I took flowers to late Hope Arthur, and
Oh,
I saw
wow.
George Lauren. They were so happy to see me. I was like, I don't know if they forgot me, like this was 10 years ago when I left school, but they were all so happy to see me, and anyway, it was a really proud moment for me. And right after that, I also booked NCIS, but not NCIS LA with Daniela. I booked regular NCIS with Paulie Perrette, and
Okay, yeah.
she was so nice. Paulie Perrette and Gavin Leatherwood, who is now one of the leads on Sabrina, and that was also his first sort of bigger role, like on a big show. So we all went to we went to lunch, Paulie, Gavin, and myself, and it was super nice. And everybody on the set was so nice. They were doing cold reading. All the big stars came in for a cold reading for episode whatever it is, 1,700 million.
Right up
So
there, yeah.
they were still modest and coming in for that read where they didn't have to, and they all came in and shook our hands and introduced. It was a lovely experience, such a lovely experience. And after that, again, I was invited to go home to do some TV show, but again, money was running short. Like I said, LA was expensive. Guest star and a co-star, you really can't live more than a couple of months off of that, even if that much. And I started Ubering. And I was like, I got to make my ends meet. I didn't want to be a waiter. I did wait when I was going to acting school in New York. I didn't want to waiter again. I wanted my times free and to be my own boss, that I can leave whenever I want to. And I started Ubering. And after a couple of months, I get a ride to Malibu. I drop off a lady, and then I pick up a lady whose hand was hurt, and we take her 7:30 p.m. to Malibu urgent care.
Oh my
She was
God.
nice and friendly and polite. I drop her off, and as I'm leaving, in the rearview mirror, I see her standing, like looking up at the door. So I stop the car and I drive in reverse, and I come up to her. I'm like, "Is everything okay?" She's like, "They're closed." I was like, how's the urgent care closed? I was like, I don't know, they're closed. And even it says, until 8 p.m., but they're closed. So I said, I was in the rescue service, and we had, like I said, I love to learn many different things, and I love to help people. So I was a lifeguard, and we had huge floods in the Balkans, 150,000 people misplaced. I was with the first aid, with the Red Cross first aid team, and I was in like 5 or 6 places that were like heavily flooded. So I do have some actual experience in like physically helping people. So I said, do you mind if I take a look at your hand, if you're at your arm? Like I was in the rescue. She's like, okay. So I kind of fixed it a little bit. And I said, you know what? I have an idea. Let me take you somewhere. And she's like, oh no, let me order you. I was like, no, don't worry. You don't have to pay. Like you're hurt. So I went around the corner, like a couple of streets down. I remember there was a fire department, and they always have a medic present. So I just drove in. I was like, hey, guys, listen, the lady has a broken arm. I could, like, how do you say, like, make it not move? Immobilize? I immobilized it, but, I don't have proper equipment here. Yeah. And they were like, no, of course, we'll help. So they come out, they help her. And anyway, I take her home. She's like, you know what, let me give you some money. I was like, no, please, don't worry. I mean, I could use the money, but like, I can't take it from a lady who's just going through that pain. I was just happy. I was happy to be able to help. A month later, I get a text message. Hey, Aleks, because we talked during the ride. I said I was an actor and I was trying and this and that. After a month, I get a call and I get a text. Hey, Aleks, this is the lady that you helped. I can't stop thinking about you. I told my husband about you. You were so nice. You were polite. We looked you up, and I hope you don't mind me texting you. But, my husband would love to meet you if you don't mind coming to Malibu. And I was like, oh, no, don't worry about it. How's your hand? She was like, oh, it's getting better so much. But please, if you're not busy, I was like, okay. I mean, I'm aware, it's like, who knows, the connections, but, and, they're nice. He might be also nice, they want to say thank you, whatever. So I drive over there. One big gate opens up. Okay, I drive further up. Another huge gate opens up. I'm watching not to run over the staff that's working on the estate. I'm like, what is this place? Tom Petty comes out. And I'm like standing there, like I play guitar. I love rock music.
Yeah.
And I'm like standing there, and then she comes out. She's like, hey, you're here. Hey, this is Tommy. Like, hi.
Just Tom.
So Tom, he was so nice, and he's like, "Hey, listen, Alex, I heard so much, and like we looked you up and everything, and she's told me, how about you start working for me, and." I know everybody. I'll open all the doors in Hollywood for you. Then it's up to you. I'll open the doors. You'll get in there, but then it's up to you. And I'm standing there. I'm like, is this, first of all, it's Tom Petty. Like, and then second, somebody wants to help me, like in Hollywood. Like, what is going on here? And then he's like, and I appreciate your Ubering, but that probably takes a lot of time and energy, and I'll pay my people well. So, if you don't mind, I was like, well, what do you want me to do? Like to drive for you, to like be your assistant? Like what? And then Dana, he's widow now, unfortunately. Dana goes and she's like, he's also got a black belt. And Tommy smiles. He's like, yeah, you can even be the bodyguard. But like I said, I don't need, like, I don't have problems with people. They like me. But like when paparazzi see me with somebody, they don't usually, they don't rush to me. So if you just want to come and hang out, we'll go to the Lakers, like front seat games. We'll go to the parties, if you just stick around with us, So I was like, yeah, like, thank you. So right off, we went for a drive to Beverly Hills. He was actually this was the year that he passed away. So he was on his farewell tour concert, and he wanted to go to check to make sure he doesn't have laryngitis. Because Dana told me that once, like years before, he had to postpone a concert because he was ill, and he felt so bad for the audience that he didn't want it to happen on his final year. And also, like, his hip this was August, and his hip was broken since February. He was postponing the surgery until the farewell tour is done. I mean, all of those things led out to a lot of stress for him, and in the end to him passing away from the pain medications, like six days after his final concert. But in a month and a half towards that, I was with him. Like, we were hanging out. I would drive him somewhere. We would hang out, and it was such an experience. And he was such a humble, true legend, such a nice person. And he even they gave me VIP tickets. They brought me on stage. I was on stage as he sang the final song of his life.
Oh my God!
I was on stage. I have a video. You look it up down on Instagram. I could only pack it into 1 minute, but it was like I filmed a 6-minute video, and he came in. He was saying bye, and when he saw me, like, he just finished his career. When he saw me, he took out his earpiece. He was like, "Hey man, I hope you enjoyed the concert. How was it?" So I mean, it was like it was, and then 6 days later, when I heard the news, I was just about actually supposed to go over there to the house. And when I heard the news, I was so shocked on like multiple levels. I was like, this, first of all, this is unreal that it's happening. Second, he was so humble. He was a true legend. Somebody who's been through hell and got to where he is, and was so patient and nice. He wasn't arrogant at the level that he was at. He was amazing. And then the third part was like, wait, is this happening to me also again? Like, I had a Hollywood role, and now I made a great friend in Hollywood, and it's all being taken away from me. Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, all of those thoughts were like stumbling around my head, that I just closed myself into my room like for a month and a half. I was obviously going out to be with the family, and I was working for them for a couple of months after Tommy, but until we parted ways. There was no need for me anymore, because Tommy wasn't there. But so I wrote a script in that time. I got a lot of my emotional stuff out. I wrote a script, and through that script, I met the now ex-husband of my acting friend from Strasberg. And she said, "Hey, Alex, how you been? Saw me in the street." I was like, all of these things. So, what have you been up to? I just wrote a medieval epic adventure. Hey, really? My husband should read that. He worked on 300. And I was like, what? So I meet this guy, and the phone rings. Like, we're sitting and talking, and the phone rings, and the soundtrack to Top Gun. And we both go to grab our phones, because turns out our phones have the same ringtone. So we click on so many levels, We become close friends. He's a
So random.
Brazilian American, and Brazilians love soccer. And I was a soccer
Oh
player, so
yeah.
we go to play soccer. We win, like our team wins 6-4. I score 6 goals, being an all-star former player. So a Brazilian guy obviously loves me now, and we become close friends. Like we click so much,
Oh,
and we like hang out. And his career starts rolling crazy because he was one of the producers working for a huge producer on 300, but now he's doing his own things, and those things are starting to like he's got Oscar winners right now under his belt for the movies he's doing, like huge things happening. You'll see it soon. I shouldn't
yeah.
really talk about it until it comes out,
Right,
but
right.
like I said, all of
Wow.
these things happening around me got me connected
Yeah.
to now, got me up to higher circles. And again, still that doesn't mean even if we're friends, I didn't tell him. I said, "Hey man, are you gonna put me in your movie?" No, I
Right.
believe in myself, and I know that he will see it. Even if he doesn't see it, someone else will see it. Like with everything I've been through, and I realized after all this happened, I was like, I'm either gonna become so depressed. Like I won a lot, but that Ben Stiller produced movie. Why him? Like, and that taken away, I won the
It's a
lottery.
blow.
And then if the lottery is taken away, like now I have to hope that I'm gonna win the lottery again. So I knew that if I wake up a couple of days after that, and I wake up depressed, that's it. I don't have what it takes for this fighting in Hollywood. But I might wake up and my eyes are gonna be like, you know what? I'm either gonna make it or die trying. And thankfully, the second thing happened, and my confidence since then has been unshattered. So because of all those falls, and me knowing that there is nothing else I would rather do, that this is where I see myself, this is my goal in life, to make it. Because, like I said, Hollywood is the biggest mountain, and from top of Hollywood, I can reach out and help the most people I can. So things started happening, and then fast forward again. I'm friends with this guy. I'm friends with a couple of other successful people now, but we're friends. If something shows up, they'll put me in it. But I'm not
Right.
asking. I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying to focus on
Just be good
finding
and be
other
in the
doorways.
mix.
Exactly. And in the meantime, I'm walking around Beverly Hills. I still Uber sometimes,
Yeah.
and like I stop Uber and I walk out Beverly Hills just to walk a little, since I'm in LA. I don't only have to work and go home and sleep. And I see what was it, Beverly Wilshire, that hotel on Wilshire and Rodeo. Anyway,
Yeah.
I mistakenly identify it with the hotel that Eddie Murphy filmed Beverly Hills Cop in.
Oh. Yeah, yeah.
And I film it and I post it on Instagram, and I'm like, hey, friends in Serbia or whoever, this is the hotel where Eddie Murphy came and they didn't want to give him a room. And he was like, just because I'm a Blackpool reporter from Rolling Stone magazine doing an interview on Michael Jackson. And they're like, presidential suite. It was something like that, And I was like, hey, this is, remember the movie. And I mentioned Eddie Murphy, and honestly, I grew up loving Eddie Murphy, but he wasn't around for the last few years. So
Yeah.
for some reason, he came to my mind. 2 days, I just post that story, so I bring him back from ancient times, like in my sphere of existence of my mind.
Yeah.
2 days later, I get an email, audition, movie, leading role, Eddie Murphy. I was like,
So
whoa.
weird.
I was like, whoa, wait. Oh, by the way, one thing I forgot to say. That day I picked up Dana Petty. Being a rock star, one song was going on the radio before I picked her up. And I was like, man, I know this song. I was like singing along, but like, I don't know who's the band like that performs it. And I looked and it said Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So yeah, that's also important now when you think of like law of attraction or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I meet
Well,
her a
no,
couple of hours later.
I watch a lot of Joseph Campbell,
Uh-huh.
his lectures, and he has all these books, and it's all about mythology. And he thinks it's really important to develop your own mythology, to pick up on these things that are in our spheres, that are in our universe, and start building that hero's myth for us
You
as
you
individual
know,
people.
I haven't heard of him or what you're saying right now, but that's something that I completely relate to. So I'm gonna look it up. Thank you for sharing that. So anyway, I get this audition and I look what's the role, and it says 4 Hungarian brothers, and I was like, again, it's not like I want to do American roles. Like me speaking now to you and to the people listening. Hello.
Yeah.
This is my honest accent. Like this is me from the heart. Like I get emotional. My accent is out, and I don't try to hide it. I am a musician by year. I've performed off Broadway 14 different accents, including like 6, 7 American dialects. So I can perform what is needed. But I don't want to change my name. I want the world to know my name because it relates to where I'm from. And like I said, the chances for me to get an audition for an American are much lower because of being not American and having a not American name. And although what's an American name? It's like a mixture of names, but not a typical American name. And so anyway, I was like, okay, it's not an American role, but it's not some bad Serbian guy, like it's a Hungarian music producer. I was like, okay, sure, why not? And it's Eddie Murphy, come on, seriously? So I'm preparing, it's 8 pages. They put all 4 brothers' roles together into one. So then they would pick who's getting which lines. So I learn all that, I read all that, and a day before the audition, or was it the morning of audition? No, the day before the audition, I'm driving somewhere, and my agent called me. He's like, Alex, you gotta check your email right now. And I look up, and the production says, hey, it turns out that we didn't pick up on something. Their parents were born in Hungary, because they're real people. They were born in the United States. But like they were traveling a lot. Can you do like a general American accent? Like you can like spice it up a little, and I was like,
yeah, they were trying to be really authentic to these guys.
I was like, I get to play an American? Are you kidding me? So I was like, okay, I mean, I don't get to play, I get to audition for an American. And I was like, okay, like, yeah. So I phoned my buddy from San Francisco, who's got a pretty nice classical American accent. And like I read for him, he finds 3 little obvious mistakes that I was making on the 8 pages that wasn't bad. And I kind of fixed that up. So I go into audition, and I blow them away. I knew it. I'm sorry. Immodest. I blew them away because they stopped after I had 5 scenes at the first. They're like, I'm sorry, where does this energy come from? And I was like, oh my God, like I almost cried. I was like, if you only knew how long I waited for this chance. And it was Betty May. Betty May, a great casting agency. A big casting. And Betty May is also one of the reasons that I'm in the States. Because when I decided to move back here, it was when I was sitting home and like being a former computer scientist and a video gamer, I opened up and it said, World of Warcraft is being made into a movie. And I was like, what am I doing in Serbia? I got to get to Hollywood. So I waited 9 months for the visa because the process was so long. So in the meantime, the casting and everything for World of Warcraft was done. But they were the ones, they were casting. Betty May was casting, and they were the reason that motivated me to come here. So I was like, and also you guys are the reason that I'm here. So I told them all this, and we finished the remaining scenes. And then as I was leaving, I wasn't aware there was an actor behind me. I wouldn't have done it in front of him, but my agent called me like, how was it? And I was like, man, if I don't get this, I'm going to like, jump off a bridge. Like I was that good. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're always so confident, blah, 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 blah. And then I see this actor behind me, but he was smiling. He wasn't like, oh, look at this jerk. He was smiling, like, honestly. And like, hey, man, like, and I was like, hey, man, there's 3 other brothers. Like, don't worry, something like that. Yeah. So anyway,
you can be number 2.
Exactly. Yeah. 3.5 weeks go by. Usually, if you don't hear back for like 5 to 10 days, it's gone. 3.5 weeks go by and nothing. So I assumed that when they realized that those were American guys, they opened the role and opened the casting further and invited American actors as well. So I was on the highway somewhere going to another audition. Like I'm talking now as if auditions are happening every day, but those were actually like 2 auditions that I had that month or something, And no, there was like a couple of more, but there's not a lot of auditions. I mean, I don't have a strong manager or an agent that's in a big agency. My agent was huge in the 80s and 90s, but he's boutiquing, and being alone today. They're all sort of, big companies do everything for them. They even make movies. Like agencies today make movies of their own.
Sure.
So it's harder to break into unless you're in in a big agency. But I was happy with the guy. He was working hard for me. And we got this. So he phones me. I'm on a highway, and he's like, "Alex, I got good and bad news." So I was like, "All right, what are the bad news?" He's like, "Yeah, I saw your Instagram story, and you were singing Phantom of the Opera. You ruined it for me. Like, please don't ever sing again." And I'm like, "All right, man, whatever. Like, what's the good news?" He's like, "Yeah, you got the Bihari brothers." I was like, "I got what?" He's like, "You got those Hungarian brothers." I was like, "The Eddie Murphy movie?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I'm driving on the highway. I look to my left. There's a granny driving. And she sort of feels that I'm looking at her. She kind of throws a glance. And I'm like, "I got a movie with Eddie Murphy." And she like freaks out. Like her eyes like slows down. And I'm yelling in the highway, like, "Ah!" And I pull out because I was like so excited.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So anyway, then that started. Then I get a call. A couple days later.
Yeah.
He says, "Okay, you're gonna play the youngest brother." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, all right. I just hope they leave me some lines, because usually, if I'm the youngest, I probably won't have a lot of lines." It turns out they gave 50% of the lines to me, like total lines. So I became the most sort of I became the guy who discovered Rudy Ray Moore, who was fighting. I mean, the Bihari brothers in this movie, how they were presented. I don't know them personally. I wasn't there, but like in this movie, they are the good guys. 70s were pretty racist.
Yeah.
They were, and not just racist. They were like anti that whole thing that Rudy Ray Moore was promoting. That stand up with swearing, with everything. But they did give him a chance. They did risk. They did give him a shot, And I played the guy who was actually the believer, who was like, "Hey man, like he's talented. Listen, everybody's listening to this." So that was, I could put a lot of my believing and believer and fighting the underdog feelings.
The outsider, the
I
underdog.
could put a lot of it into my character. And then as the movie was coming closer, like to being filmed, I get a call from first assistant director or a message. He's like, "Hey, this is my number. You need anything, let us know. Please send us your precise height, weight, everything, And I do.
Yeah.
And then the casting lady calls me, the Oscar winning. Well, she won an Oscar between our filming and the release, Ruth Carter. And she calls me. She's like, "Hey, Alex, let me get the numbers right. You're 6'4"?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh." So I was, with losing that Why Him movie, and then, with the Tommy's tragedy, like I was like, I was afraid that I was
You're
jinxed.
on edge now, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I was like, "Oh my God, like what?" And I read those stories that some actors, like if a taller actor comes along, they would kick him off the set because they don't want to be like. I heard a lot of scary Hollywood stories, like there's a lot of myths going on around.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I mean, I'm like, yeah, I'm 6'4", I hope, I don't think Eddie's like a short guy, but like I don't think if I'm a couple inches taller than him that he would kick me off the set." Like I was like, but I was having all those crazy thoughts. I was like, "Oh my God." Like she's like, "Ooh, I don't know." I was like, "Well, please don't be like that." I was like, I like that I'm tall, And she was like, No, we'll just have to get new costumes." So she's like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay, bye." So I'm freaking out now. Are they gonna kick me off the set? I was like, "What's going on?" I
Yeah.
phoned my agent. He's like, "Yo, man, calm down. What's wrong?" I was like, "Dude, like I'm freaking out. Am I gonna lose this?" Or like, "What's going on?" He's like, "No, man, calm down." But no,
They're
they
just getting new
called me.
costumes, right?
Yeah, they're just getting the new costumes.
Right? Not a new actor, right?
Dude, I was like so afraid. But then I show up tomorrow, and they actually did get me new costumes and
Oh,
everything.
thank God.
And they were so nice. And then to fast forward, the first shooting day approached. First scene was two 8K cameras doing like double close up of me, and
Jesus.
I wasn't afraid at all. With everything I've
Nice.
been through, I was like, "Bring this on. This is what I wanted." And that's the scene when I speak on the phone with him. So, but like after that was the scene when Eddie shows up. So we get to meet Eddie. So Eddie's coming along, and I'm like, and that's where I was nervous. I was like, "Oh my God, like he's like one of my childhood heroes. If he turns out to be a bad person, to be polite in expression. A bad person, that would break my heart. And he comes up, and he was so sweet and so nice. And he had like a body double, a stunt double. But even when it was his over the shoulder onto us, it was still him. He stayed for all four of us. He stayed for all four of us for an extra hour and a half. He didn't have to. Yeah, he was so humble. I literally saw that legendary thing that I saw before, even with Tommy, and like I saw that humbleness, that humbleness that greatness truly brings, true greatness brings. And he was so nice, and and we talked, and I said something funny, and he laughed. And
you
then
made Eddie Murphy laugh.
Yes, and I was like, okay. And then I went around the corner. It was like a break in the shooting, and I was like phoning. I don't know who I phoned. One of my buddies. And I was like, "Hey man, I made Eddie Murphy laugh." He was like, "What?" I said, "I made him laugh." So I'm proud to say that every day I was on the set, I would say something that stupid that he would laugh. So that's a success. And he was so nice, and everybody was. And the director, Craig Brewer, was so nice. They even invited my parents came to visit. They invited my parents to come to the set. That was imagine that. And I introduced my mom.
How lovely! Yeah,
I introduced my mom to Eddie. I said, "Hey Eddie, this is my mom, Lillian." He like puts his hands to his chest, and he's like, "Oh my God, my mom's name is Lillian." So come on, like seriously. Anyway, things started working out so great since then. I mean, I've been struggling. I'm not saying that I've been struggling near as close as some people might have been. I don't know, but like inside of me, my world was falling apart so many times, and just pushing through that and digging into myself, looking. Like I said in the beginning, fortune favors the brave. You got to be brave enough to look inside yourself to see if this is what you really want. You got to do that. Don't be afraid to lift that last rock and maybe discover that, hey, maybe I should be a dentist. Because if you should be a dentist. To make it in this world, from my experience, you really got to want it 100%. You got to be aware that you won't be happy with anything else. And when you're that aware, then you can take rejection. You're not happy with it, but you take it and you transform it into motivation, and you want more. And everybody that's hurt you, everybody that's hurt other people, everybody that's, as you say, bad, you use that motivation to show them that they were wrong, that they should learn. And for all those that were good, again, you motivate it into the same, drive for success to help them, to be able to lend them a hand. So it all comes. You become focused, and for me, I have these two pockets. When I run into people that are not good, comes out, I put it in that pocket of, they'll see, and it comes out into the motivation to making it. And when I run into people that are good, I want to help these people. I want to get them to work. I want to help them however I can, and that also motivates me in the same direction.
Thanks for listening to the Hollywood Actor Podcast. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share.